Okay, here we go. So if you remember, placebo effect uh, was something that could influence your uh, perception or your uh, feedback. You know, when you are dividing the sample into two groups. If you remember, we divided the sample into two groups. First one was the treatment group, and the second one was the control group. For the treatment group, we actually provided the treatment, whatever the treatment was for our particular study. But for the control group, we didn't provide anything so that we could differentiate what's going on, or rather, we might say that how well the treatment is working. We could actually compare it with the control group. I mean, compare the treatment group with the control group and see the results, see the different differences in the result. But what it could mean for some people, they might feel influential, rather influenced, when they are in the treatment group. That means when they know that they are getting the treatment, they are in the treatment group, they might feel privileged, they might feel honored, they might feel influenced. And that actually could change the effectiveness of the treatment. So they could actually give a different feedback. Okay. Now let me give you a quick, really, really quick example of it. So excuse me. Let's say the example we had where we subdivided the entire math section into two groups, where the treatment group got the music devices, music equipments, and the control group didn't get any, and they were uh, sitting for an exam, for an algebra exam, and we were trying to see how influential the music could be. I mean, does it help? Does it actually help to calm your nerves, to get better results, to make you concentrate on the math itself? Because when you listen to music, often it's not applicable for everyone, of course, but often it makes you calm and composed, which could result in a better uh, uh, level of concentration. Excuse me. So, um, when the group, when the treatment group was given the equipments, some students could actually feel really influenced. That we are in the we are in this group who are, rather, I am in this group who are getting um, the music equipments. That's great. So maybe maybe they have a better preparation, or maybe they actually uh, know the uh, test pretty well, how to deal with that. But in the feedback, they might say, since they got influenced, they might say that the music did really well. It could actually change, as you can see, it actually changes the effectiveness of the treatment, since the person or the group of person was actually influenced uh, uh, by the excuse me, by the um, privilege. They actually thought, or maybe he or she actually thought, um, um, that's one example, by the way. That's not uh, um, an universal one universal example, but that's one example. you could think of. Now, what can we do to um, kind of rule out this? I mean, we don't want this placebo effect to ruin our study, to ruin our experiment. We want to avoid it. What can we do? Can you imagine anything? Anyone? Just out of your head, can you imagine what can you do to some sort of rule out this, so that no one get influenced by anything. They give the um, what would I say? They could give the honest opinion. Anyone? Just give it a try. I mean, what can we do to rule out this, to um, cancel out this placebo effect? Anyone?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So, as you can see, people might get influenced, right? So we
Right.
want to rule out this. I mean, we don't want people to get influenced by anything. We want their honest opinion, or we want what actually the treatment uh, is doing on them. We don't want any other effects uh, in their feedback. I mean, if any other effects influencing them while they are providing the feedback. So what would I do to rule out this? I mean, this influential effect and all that.
Tell them exactly what you're going to do versus influencing them. Like in example 26, um, patients are told they're receiving a strong painkiller while receiving a saltwater injection. It'd be not telling them that they're going to receive a strong painkiller. That way, the placebo effect doesn't take place.
Very good. Exactly. That's what we would do, or we can do. That means we can actually avoid saying them that, hey, you are in the treatment group, right? I think you said the same thing, right? I mean, we just don't let them know that which group they are in. That means when we are dividing the two groups, the control group is getting nothing, the treatment group is getting the treatment. Obviously, people could see that which group they are in. So we could actually uh, do something so that they can't know which group they are in, or which is the treatment. Or okay, no, maybe they should know what is the treatment, or uh, yeah, maybe they should know what is the treatment, but no one would be able to differentiate whether they are actually getting the treatment or not. I mean, whether they are in the control group or in the treatment group, so that they don't get influenced. That means we can actually create a dummy treatment, and that's what we are going to see now. The next definition: to control the placebo effect, a dummy treatment can be introduced. And you can clearly imagine which group we should provide the dummy treatment to, obviously, to the control group. Excuse me. We are still dividing the entire sample into two groups. The treatment group gets the treatment, and the control group gets the dummy treatment. So everyone is getting something similar. So no one actually gets to know that whether they're getting the actual treatment or the dummy treatment. We will not let them know. Can you see what's going on here? Now, does it slowly but steadily does it make sense? Okay, now let me see example 27, and I really think this will make things more and more transparent to you, more clear to you. Okay, so the example where we introduced or rather the company introduced a new medicine. I guess it was a weight loss pill or something like that, if you remember. Let me just go back to the example really quick. Yeah, example 22. A drug company actually launched a weight loss pill. Okay, so when they are initially, when they divided the sample group into two subgroups, control group and treatment group, the treatment group was getting the weight loss pill and the control group was not getting anything. So now instead we can create a dummy treatment. That means we can provide them a dummy pill. So everyone is getting a pill and no one knows which one is the actual one. But as you are the researcher, as you are conducting the research, maybe you know. Okay, and whoever is creating the dummy treatment, he knows or she knows that we have divided the sample into two groups, and these people are getting the dummy pill, whatever it is. It could be a sugar pill or something like that, or it could be a vitamin. Doesn't uh, uh, doesn't mean that it has to be uh, a particular thing. It could be anything which looks pretty similar, so that they can't really differentiate which one is actually the weight loss pill. Okay, so we could provide them with some other pills. So now they actually don't know, or maybe can't know, whether they are getting the treatment or they're in the control group, right? Because everyone is getting something in the sample. Does it make sense? So this means the placebo effect should be should be reduced, if not completely removed, right? Let's see the next example. Okay, so in a study on the effect of alcohol on memory, okay, a non-alcoholic beer might be given to the control group. Okay, that's a really good example. So let's say you are the researcher and you are trying to see the effect of alcohol on memory. That means if you consume alcohol to some extent, what does it do uh, to your memory? I mean, after consuming alcohol for a certain duration, how well can you remember anything? Okay, or something like that. I mean, you are trying to see the effects of alcohol. Let's just do it this way. So when you divide the two groups, you could actually, since you are trying to see the effect of alcohol, you could actually provide um, the control group a non-alcoholic beer, right? So and probably to make sure that it's the dummy treatment, you could you could find a beer which looks pretty similar to the alcohol you're providing. At least the color. Obviously, you can't. Um, excuse me. You can't um, create the taste and the fragrance, but at least the color, so that no one can differentiate by just eyeballing which one he is getting. And and maybe you are doing it on the non-alcoholic people who who is not alcoholic, who doesn't really consume alcohol on a regular basis. So maybe he wouldn't be able to differentiate in the first place. Okay, like for example, a people or rather um, uh, a group of people who haven't consumed alcohol in his life or in their life before, they won't be getting which one is the real alcohol and which one is the beer. Okay, That's really difficult by just eyeballing or even by tasting. They might not understand it. It might it might sound funny, but yeah, it happens to people who haven't really, maybe they haven't really uh, consumed a beer either in their life, in his life. For example, me, I haven't really consumed even a beer in my life. So if you give me a glass of wine or a non-alcoholic beer, I wouldn't be able to understand, even though I taste it. Okay, so this could be provided as the dummy treatment. Let's see the next one, and then I'll give you a chance to ask questions. So, in a study of a frozen meal diet plan, the treatment group would receive the diet food, and the control could be given standard frozen meals stripped of their original packaging. Okay, so now you are conducting a study on the frozen diet food. Okay, so now what you just need to do, you just provide the diet food to the treatment group and just a regular frozen food to the control group. Okay, so they won't be able to understand, uh, because obviously if it's not written on the package which they are getting, they won't be able to understand which one is the actual diet food. Okay, excuse me. So it could actually create a tummy treatment like this to control the placebo effect. Okay, any question now? Does it actually make sense to you? Anyone?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Thanks.
Cool. Is there anyone who is struggling to understand that this could happen? You don't need to get demoralized if you're not getting it. That's perfectly all right. If you just go over this example maybe one more time, or a couple of times, hopefully it will make more sense. Or obviously we can chat over Zoom or email uh, to rediscuss these things. Maybe I'll be able to make things clear. Okay, just let me know. All right. Okay. Now to the last pair of definitions. Okay. Um, Blind study and a double blind study. Before that, let me see what they have on offer. So, in some cases, it's more appropriate to compare to a conventional treatment than a placebo. For example, in a cancer research study, it would not be ethical to deny any treatment to the control group or to give a placebo treatment. Um, in this case, the currently acceptable medicine would be given to the control group, sometimes called a comparison group in this case. In our SAT test example, the non treatment group would most likely be encouraged to study on their own rather than be asked to not study at all to provide a meaningful comparison. Okay, now does it make any sense? For example, if you're doing a research on how well your pill works on a cancer patient, on maybe on a group of cancer patient, you can't really give them a tummy treatment, can you? No, you can't really do that. Okay, you actually have to uh, provide them with a proper medicine, maybe not the uh, medicine you are actually trying to conduct the study on, uh, but some other proper medicine which is on offer, or rather which are on offer. Okay, but you need to provide them with um, actual things, not a dummy one. Right, does it make sense? It could be one issue you might encounter. because not all the study could actually allow you to to create or provide a dummy treatment. Often you need to replace it with something similar, maybe not the exact one, because I mean, since you are trying to find how well your product is doing, so that means you need to have a control group to compare. But definitely in those cases you need to provide them with something similar, which is already on offer, and we call this group as the comparison group, right? Because you can compare. We are providing two similar products, one from my company, one from the other company. For example, let's say you are trying to see how well your taco is doing, and you are the owner of the Taco Bell. So what you are doing, you are giving the new tacos uh, to the treatment group. I'm just giving you the example. In this case, I actually can create a dummy one though, but I'm just giving you the example. And for the other group, let's say you are providing them, you are also providing them with tacos, but from some other shops. Let's say um, from Taco Jones, okay, which probably will look similar, but you can still compare how well your taco is doing, right? So that could be one example. Not a very good one though, since I'm creating it. Uh, anyway, okay, let's see. Um, when using a placebo, it would defeat the purpose if the participant knew they are receiving the placebo. Okay, now again, we could encounter the same uh, issue while we're creating the dummy treatment as well. I mean, somehow, if a person could understand that, hey, am I getting a dummy treatment? Am I in the control group? Then his or her feedback could be influenced. You know, he might not give honest opinion because he already knows that he's in the control group. Just the uh, same issue for which we created the dummy treatment, right? It's actually now the case with the control group. If they know, for example, if they know they are in the control group, they might feel underprivileged, okay? And that could actually influence their, or rather influence the effectiveness, that could change their mindset even even before starting the study. Can you see that? So we want to rule out this as well as much as possible, right? Otherwise, if they already know they're in the control group, they're getting the dummy treatment, maybe it could change the effectiveness uh, of the study, because they might give you uh, a feedback which doesn't really feed the data. I mean, doesn't really feed the situation. Okay, so we want to rule out that, and for that, uh, we want to create this blind study. What is that? That means clearly you have to create a process, a procedure, so that no one gets to know who is getting what. I mean, previously I just mentioned the example of a non-alcoholic group of people, but what if in the control group there is an alcoholic guy? He could even by smelling the non-alcoholic beer, he could understand, hey, this is not an alcohol, it's a beer. So that could influence his answer, his responses after the study is done, or rather when he is actually providing the feedbacks. But we want to completely, if possible, completely uh, rule out the possibilities, uh, so that their um, responses are not getting influenced. So somehow or other, we want to create a procedure. We want to do it in a way so that they don't really know what they are getting. Okay, so this could be said a blind study. Simply, you could uh, compare it with a uh, study where everyone um, uh, is blindfolded, and you know they can't see what's going on, and they're taking part in the study. That means no one gets to know whether they are in the treatment group or they are getting the dummy one. Okay, you have to create a way so that it could be possible. Okay, what's a double blind study? Okay, now uh, those who are interacting with the participants, now they don't even know who is in the treatment group and who is in the control group. Now what does it mean? That means, let's say for excuse me, for monitoring the entire study, you could hire some people who will keep an eye on everyone, how they're doing it, or if they're taking any other measures with what could change the effectiveness, they could actually monitor the entire procedure. Now they don't even know who are in the treatment group and who are in the control group. You don't let them know either. You just let them enter the study room where people are taking part in that experiment, and they're just monitoring everything. They're interacting with people, but they don't know. For example, the uh, study where you wanted to find the effective, or rather effects of alcohol on the memory, you know those who are collecting data, they don't know which people are actually um, which people have actually consumed alcohol and who haven't. You don't let them know either. So now neither of the groups, the people who are collecting data and the people who are providing data, neither of them actually know which uh, uh, group they are in. Okay, so that could be said a double blind study. Now apart from the original company who are conducting the survey, apart from them, no one actually know which group they are in. Okay, now let us see one example. I guess we have two more examples here, uh, and hopefully we'll be able to understand it better. Okay, so in a study about antidepressant medicine, you would not want the psychological evaluator to know whether the patient is in the treatment or control group either, as it might influence their evaluation. So the experiment should be conducted as a double blind study. Okay, so for example, or rather in this example, you are you have selected some people who are really depressed, with their life, and now um, you want to check how well uh, does your medicine work on them. So what you do, you you create a dummy, maybe you create a dummy uh, treatment, I mean dummy medicine. You provide, or rather you subdivide the sample into two groups. um, you don't let them know, since you know uh, no one could actually uh, differentiate a medicine and uh, what it what it works for, or it's actually for. I don't think anyone could actually eyeball, or even after consuming it, no one should be able to understand uh, which one is medicine you are doing the research on. So that should be pretty easy. And who are collecting data or evaluating this, you don't let them know either, because uh, if they know what's going on, if they know that these people are already depressed or or something like that, that might influence their evaluation as well. So in simple words, you don't let anyone know what's going on here. Only you uh, know what's going on. You are just waiting for the evaluator to collect data from the people. That's it. So this is definitely a double blind study, because even those who are collecting data, who are evaluating the data, uh, they they don't even know who is in the treatment group or who is in the control group. Okay, but the most important thing is the next line, that not every experiment needs a control group. Just in the last example we have discussed, you actually don't, maybe you don't need the control group. you know Simply what you do, you just pick up people who are depressed. You provide them with the medicine, and you hire a person who would collect data from them and evaluate their mental conditions, whether they are getting better results, they are uh, getting out of the depression or not. Okay, they can evaluate it. Maybe you can do that, uh, even without creating the control group. Maybe not in this example, but you will uh, see examples, or you will encounter experiments which doesn't really need the control group. Okay, let's see if we have one with no control group or not. Okay, if a researcher is testing whether a new fabric can withstand fire, she simply needs to torch multiple samples of fabric. There is no need for a control group. Yeah, that's a very good example. When you are experimenting uh, with non-humans, that means with a product, with something uh, which don't really have any emotions, which can't be influenced by anything. For example, you are experimenting with a fabric. You are experimenting with um, what I say, with anything that simply has no life. Then I don't think you need a control group. Okay, maybe in most cases you don't need it. You just need to experiment on your product, whether it, for example, uh, if the fabric can withstand fire, you just need to check your particular fabric and do experiments on that. You don't need other fabrics, because the other fabric could withstand fire. So that doesn't really excuse me, that doesn't really help your cause. You're trying to find whether your fabric can um, withstand fire or not. So you just keep experimenting on your fabrics. Okay, you don't need any other groups. You don't need the control group. Okay, so yeah, huh, that is the end of our topics. We have most probably successfully completed the contents we had. So the next 2 days, on Monday and on Wednesday, we'll discuss more problems. If you have any particular choices, we'll go over those first. Otherwise, we can choose problems from the exercise and solve those. We can uh, discuss those problems. Together we can create a you know group study type of situation. We can discuss it all together. We can provide our own excuse me, own responses, and then work on those. Cross check our concepts with others and do different things. But yeah, we have successfully, maybe some sort of successfully completed the contents. All right, so next time when we meet, uh, what I want you to do uh, for the final exam, all the exercise problems are going to be a good sample problem or other good sample problems. How many are there? Okay, okay, yeah. Um, what I want you to do during the weekend, you can start practicing these exercise problems, okay? And then we can discuss this on Monday and Wednesday when we meet, okay? There are a few problems, so it should be a very good uh, preparation for the finals, okay? Uh, we have 22 in total, I guess. Oh no, okay, so 16. Oh yeah, right, 22 in total. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?